Essex, first thing that pops into people's minds is usually Towie, unfortunately. It's not all Towie. I almost renamed the presentation, We're Not All Towie. This is about our work with the University of Essex, surprisingly enough. So this is what I'll be covering today. What the Record Office is, the aims, the team, what we delivered, who took part, our evaluation, and what's next. So the Essex Record Office, oh dear, it was fine when we did this, but it's not based in Chelmsford. It's Chelmsford, one of the UK's newest cities, and it was founded in 1938. We're celebrating our 75th anniversary this year. The building, as you can see, isn't 75 years old. It's relatively new. It was built in the year 2000 in an interesting location, right next to the convergence of two rivers, or is that a confluence? I don't know. And also a canal on the other side. So, in fact, basically, we're on an island. Interesting place to put an archive. We have around 8 miles of shelving, and we're also home to the Essex Sound and Video Archive. Just before I say that, I'll just introduce myself as well. My job title, I have the longest job title in the world. I'm Cultural Access, Participation and Learning Officer for Essex County Council. So now I work not just with the Record Office, but also with arts and museums as well, although I've worked with museums for quite a while anyway. My background is basically, I was a primary school teacher for 6 years, then I worked for a museum, and then I came to work for Essex County Council as part of the Record Office and with museums in the county. So the aim of the project was to work with young people and to try to break down some barriers. The reasons for this are quite obvious when you look at this bar chart. You can obviously see that the ages of our visitors are mainly 45 years plus, and the 65 plus make up a huge percentage. The 15 to 24 age group is obviously where we wanted to pick up some more visitors. And as well as working with schools and within other educational establishments, we wanted to work with the university to try to encourage their students to come and visit us as well. When we're talking about barriers, there are some physical barriers as well as the psychological barriers, if you like. So the actual search room is on the first floor rather than on the ground floor. So the immediate barrier is a set of stairs and a wonderful piece of artwork on the right-hand side, which everybody says, "What's that?" And we have to explain to them what it is because it's not self-evident. Then when you get to the top of the stairs, there is quite a big barrier in terms of obviously there are windows there, but it's a physical barrier. People do have to sign in and go through security doors and obviously drop off their bags and any other materials that they can't take into the search room with them. We're very lucky to have a campus of the University of Essex in Chelmsford. There's also the University of East Anglia as well, and Anglia Ruskin have campuses around as well. But we did have some history of working with the University of Essex, but we wanted to really put in place a deeper relationship. We wanted to give the students some ideas for research topics and ideally to foster repeat visits. And obviously we wanted to increase the use of the search room. I hate to say it, but bums on seats is what you want, isn't it? So I wonder how many of you might relate to this chart. This shows the decline in physical visits. As you can see, 2013 is at the bottom there. You can see the peak in February. That was when we had the students visit us. We wanted to introduce the students to SEACS, which is our online catalogue. We wanted to show them original documents and the search room technology, which can sometimes be a physical barrier as well. So here they are. I'm sure you all recognise microfilm, microfiche, all of those kinds of equipment, which can seem perhaps a little bit alien to some people if they've not visited a record office before. And we also wanted to talk about critical awareness when using their resources as well. So here are my colleagues. At the time I was just Heritage Education Officer. I think I quite like that title. So we offered a behind-the-scenes tour at the beginning of the day. So we took them through the search room, we showed them the repositories, we showed them the conservation studio, and they had a bit of a chat with our conservator. And we showed them our treasures, things like the King Charles I Bible, which we hold, which was given by King Charles to his librarian. And somehow it made its way to a church in Great Baddow, which the story goes that it was bombed in World War II. The Bible was found among the dust and was rescued, and it came to the record office. So here they are in the search room at the map desks, having a bit of a look at some of the documents. Going to visit the repositories. That's the King Charles I Bible. It's actually, you can't really see it too well there, but it's got beautiful embroidery, and it's I think it's red velvet. And taking them into conservation, so they got to see seals, etc. The next thing we did was we gave them case studies of some of the staff, what they had done at university with their history degrees. So we perhaps showed them some hospital records, and I'm trying to think of some of the others, I can't remember now, but we basically showed them what they could do with our local records. And we placed some documents out for them to view. We also gave them a talk about the Essex Sound and Video Archive, as that's an important part of our collection. And then we set them a research task. We actually felt that it was fine to give them an introduction to the record office, but we actually wanted to give them something to do while they were there, so they could actually see in practical terms what you could do, what kind of research you could do. We set them something fairly simple as they were first year university students. We gave them a particular character. We got them to look at census records, his will. They looked at books as well, and maps. And there you can see them using the information, using the computers and searching our online catalogue. And then we held a discussion at the end. That discussion was led by the archive staff. We had quite a few discussions with the university before we held the day. Before we held the days, we actually held 4 days. Was it 4 or 3? 4. I think it was 4 days for the students to come in, because obviously we couldn't cater for 77 students all at once. So we carried it over a number of days. We actually, on reflection, felt that probably we were not the best people to lead a discussion on critical awareness of the documents. Actually, we felt that the university staff would have been better placed to have done that. As I say, my background is as a humble primary school teacher, and I have to admit that I felt a bit underqualified to lead that discussion. I did my best. So the University of Essex made the visits a compulsory part of their first year study. We had discussions with them about whether we made it the student's choice to come or not, or whether we made it compulsory. And we actually felt that because of the travel that was possibly needed, and to actually make the most of the visit, it would be better to make it compulsory. And we were very grateful that the university staff were happy to allow their students the time to come and make it a compulsory visit. And so they wrote a reflective piece afterwards. And as I said, there were 77 first year history undergraduates. So we did a very simple evaluation. I like simple. So we did a post-it note evaluation. We gave them a pile of post-its at the beginning. We asked them various questions about their perception of the Record Office, whether they thought they'd use us, those kind of questions right at the beginning, whilst they were having coffee, of course, because we know they need that to keep them going. We also then asked them right at the very end. We wanted to be able to draw a comparison. The results were fantastic. They were just what we wanted to see. At the beginning, only 8 said yes, they would use the Record Office for their research. And by the end, you can see 55 of them said they would. That's a huge increase, and we were thrilled. Again, 51 said no, and only 1 said no by the end of the visit. Yeah, I know. I wanted to say, why? What have we done? And we had 8 maybes, so I think that's probably better than no maybes at the start. I'm hoping that they were the... They had a real change of heart. So we asked them about their perceptions. I'm sure you can relate to some of these perceptions. Outdated, dusty, and perhaps only used by academics and important historians. Okay? People researching for a book, perhaps, those are the important people. Which is quite interesting because, as I say, we're celebrating our 75th anniversary, and that was in 1938, that was what record offices were like. We have stories. We've been collecting oral histories from some of the staff, some of the original staff, and they said, there was a corner of the room and they had leather seats, and the important historians sat there and they did their work. And I think you had to have an academic letter agreeing that you could come to the Record Office and look at documents. So by the end of the day, obviously it was easy to use and more useful than expected, more variety than expected, and can be used for more than strictly local history. So we were trying to open up the idea to them that you could go and visit the National Archives and you'd see some wonderful documents, but equally if you came to visit a local archive, hopefully the documents that you looked at would reflect the national and the other way around. So we asked them what they enjoyed from the day as well. Most of them said that they enjoyed the research tasks, seeing the treasures, conservation. Seeing the conservation studio is something that I find when we have younger children in, everybody actually, from young children up to adults, they love seeing the work of a conservator and how they're able to completely transfer a document. I'm not going to read these out, but these are some of the comments that we had back from the students. We were trying to encourage them to come back so that they could think about titles for their dissertation in the second year. Dr. Amanda Flather, the first year director for the Department of History, also commented that almost all the students gave positive comments. And I like the fact that the students were interested in archive work and conservation work. I think it opens up new doorways for them. Some of the challenges: mobile phones. Who's got their mobile phone on silent? Engaging students in discussion. This is probably something I should have known as a primary school teacher. We should have split them into smaller groups. We should have got them doing small group discussion rather than saying to them, "So, what do you think?" and then asking everybody and getting them to answer in front of everyone. Silly mistake on our part. We know better for next time. Group dynamics. There was one of the days where there was many more men, I should say, than women, and that was there was an interesting dynamic that day, especially when it came to look at Claybury Hospital records, which is was a mental hospital, and we basically showed them the records of women who had suffered from mental illness, and the photos in there, and the guys were quite, were basically having a bit of a laugh and going, "Oh, look at that one," and we were kind of like, "Come on, this is not what this day is about." So that was an interesting one. We had to talk to the university about perhaps next time, if possible, making sure that there was more of a mix with those groups. If we're really honest, it did have a big impact on the record office. We had to move tables and heavy tables and chairs and all kinds of things, and there was a lot of movement throughout the day and that week to try and ensure that the day ran smoothly. So I'd be lying if I said that there was minimum impact. There was quite a big impact. We will repeat the visits next year. My colleague Neil will be visiting the university in the next couple of months, I think, because those students are now second year students. So he's going to be going to talk to them to remind them that we're here, and help them perhaps think about their dissertation topics. And obviously that building a long-term relationship as well. And that is me. If you need to contact us, please do tweet us, and you can find us on Facebook as well. I hope you've enjoyed that little whiz through the Essex Record Office, and if you have any questions, we've got the panel in a little while.